Hello and good evening, friends, and welcome to another edition of TXN Sports World. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined as always by Michael Bullock. Good old MF Michael Fletcher once again will not be with us this evening. Work commitments beyond his control. He'll be back with us soon. But on the show tonight, we are going to preview the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and we'll also preview the NBA's Eastern Conference Finals. And then, time permitting, we will have the Game 2 edition of the Celtics chat. And from the way it's looking right now, it's looking like it could end up being a very happy one. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But for right now, let's dive right on in to the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs and the series that started off the second round. The back-to-back defending Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning squaring off against the Florida Panthers. And here's how it goes. We have ourselves an all-Florida matchup in the second round of the 2022 Stanley Cup playoffs. The Panthers and the Lightning set to meet after winning their first round series in the Eastern Conference. The two teams met last year in the playoffs, where Tampa Bay knocked off Florida in 6 games. Well, the Panthers, they defeated the Washington Capitals in 6 games. The President's Trophy winners won 3 straight games after falling behind 2-1 in the series. Florida earned an overtime victory in Game 4 to even the series, and then won again in overtime in Game 6 to advance to the second round. Carter Verhaeghe has been the postseason breakout star for the Panthers. The winger had 12 points in 6 games for Florida, including a 5-point performance in Game 5 and the OT winner in Game 6. Tampa Bay was able to come back after being down 3-2 in their series against the Toronto Maple Leafs, winning Game 6 in OT and then knocking off Toronto 2-1 in Game 7. Nick Paul had both goals in the final game of the series. However, Braden Point, who was the OT hero in Game 6, left Game 7 with an apparent right leg injury. He attempted to come back in the second period, but appeared to be in severe pain. His status up in the air. And the key storyline: which Andrei Vasilevskiy shows up against the Panthers? The credit for the Lightning's 2 straight Stanley Cup wins can be shared by a plethora of players, but the one that stands out the most is Vasilevskiy. He won the Conn Smythe last year, recording a shutout in every series-clinching win and never lost back-to-back games. However, he looked far from his typical self in the series against the Maple Leafs, other than Game 7 where he looked fantastic. Vasilevskiy was shaky at times for Tampa Bay, giving up too many second-chance opportunities and not making saves that he normally would make. It never felt like he was stealing a game until the series finale. Vasilevskiy's numbers were not great in the opening round. Before his Game 7 performance, he had a .337 goals against average and an .885 save percentage, allowing at least 3 goals in Games 1 through 6. Now Vasilevskiy and the Tampa Bay defense have to face the best offense in the league in the Panthers. The crew from South Beach did not appear as imposing in the series against the Caps, but the danger is still there. If Vasilevskiy is not on his A game, there is a chance the Panthers have a field day against him. The Panthers look shaky at times against the Capitals. For as dynamic of an offense as they have, the fact that the Capitals could slow them down and disrupt their rushes is concerning. The Lightning have a better, more physical back end that could cause some serious problems for Florida. I think we most certainly see a repeat of the tension-filled series we saw between these two teams last year, and that is better for Tampa Bay, in my opinion. They have proven they can play the physical, grinded-out style and still find ways to win with their skill. Vasilevskiy uses that Game 7 performance against Toronto and runs with it to lead the Lightning to a win over their in-state rivals. And although the Lightning are up 2-0 after Tampa Bay took Game 2 again tonight 2-1 in Florida, I still think that it'll be a 7-game series, but I still have the Tampa Bay Lightning winning this series, because until somebody can beat them, you cannot and will not go against them. Tampa Bay Lightning wins the series in 7 games. So Michael Bullock, come on in. The all-Florida matchup, the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers. Tampa already up 2-0. I got them winning in 7, although at this rate, it could end up being even shorter series.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a shorter series, but obviously we'll wait and see. But I just got this feeling that somehow the Panthers will bounce back. I mean, I think they're gonna. I mean, they're tough, and I think they can somehow compete with this Lightning team. But I got this being a 7-game series as well, and I too have the Tampa Bay Lightning winning it. I mean, because like you said, they're the two-time defending Stanley Cup champs, and until somebody takes it from them, you cannot and absolutely must not bet against the Lightning. So I'm with you too, Florio. I got the Tampa Bay Lightning winning in 7 games. So that being said, Florio, let's move on to our next semifinal matchup.
And it's the other one that's on right now that started the other night, along with that Tampa, Florida series. It's the series between the St. Louis Blues and the Colorado Avalanche. The Avalanche up one game to none after a thrilling overtime victory in Game 1. No score right now in Game 2, so not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, St. Louis Blues against the best team in the West, the Colorado Avalanche. Who you got?
Yeah, Colorado. I mean, they proved themselves in Game 1 why they are that. I mean, St. Louis definitely gave them some fits, and yeah, but somehow they pulled it out, and that's the thing. I mean, because they are the best in there, even though the St. Louis Blues, even though it pains me to say it, because remember that run they had in 2019, and my Bruins found out the hard way. So I think they'll give them some fits, but I just think the Colorado Avalanche are just they're the far better team here. And I just, until somebody can prove them wrong, I cannot and absolutely will not go against the Avalanche. So Colorado wins it. I got this going in 6 games. Florio, it's yours.
The first second round series of well, it's actually not because it's already done, but the Avalanche made easy work of the Nashville Predators in the first round, sweeping Nashville in 4 games and outscoring the Preds 21-9. Colorado scored at least 5 goals in 3 of those contests and twice put up a 7 spot. Cali Makar led the way with 10 points in 4 games, including the overtime winner in Game 2. The Avs had to clinch the series without starting goaltender Darcy Kemper, who was injured in Game 3. Given the extra days of rest, however, it's likely that Kemper could be ready for this series. St. Louis took down Minnesota in 6 games. After going down 2-1 in the series, the Blues won 3 straight to eliminate the Wild. The Blues received hat tricks in 2 separate games, once from David Perron and one from Vladimir Tarasenko. After rolling with Ville Husso in net the first 3 games, coach Craig Berube went to Jordan Binnington, who went undefeated and helped the Blues advance. The 2 Central Division foes meet just 1 year after the Avalanche swept the Blues in the first round of last year's playoffs. The key storyline, is this the year the Avalanche finally get past the second round? The Avalanche just cruised the first round like they were playing in a Monday Night Men's League. Where have we seen this story before? Oh, that's right. The last 3 years have been the same old song and dance. Breeze through the first series and then fall in the second round. The Avalanche have lost a combined 1 first-round game the previous 3 postseasons, yet have stumbled the following series each year. It's an unacceptable pattern for a team that has become a perennial Cup favorite. This year is no different. Colorado entered the season as a favorite to win the Stanley Cup and remained so after finishing atop the West. Can they finally exorcise their second-round demons and make it to the Western Conference Finals? It's actually been 4 years of first-round wins followed by a second-round exit, but in the 2019 playoffs, the Avs were the 8th seed in the West and knocked off the top-seeded Calgary Flames. So the expectations were not there that year. On paper, it's simple. The Avalanche are the stronger team. I might give the Blues the edge at forward just because they have a deep group, but the Avalanche blue line is so much better than their counterparts. Most importantly, the Avalanche have a bona fide number 1 goalie and the Blues don't. Given how often the Avalanche score, I feel as though the Blues are going to be goalie shuffling, trying to figure out which one is hot or not. And that's going to make it difficult for St. Louis to build momentum in this series. The Blues make it tough, but the Avalanche finally climbed that mountain and advanced past the second round. I agree with you, Bullock. I got the Colorado Avalanche winning this series in 6 games. So with that being said, we move on to our next series, and it's the series that myself and good old MF Michael Fletcher have the most vested interest in, as it's our team, the New York Rangers, squaring off against the Carolina Hurricanes in the other Eastern Conference series. The series started last night, and of course, you saw the Ranger roundup that Bullock and I did on Wednesday Night Madness last night. Gut-wrenching loss for the New York Rangers, losing 2-1 in overtime. Carolina up 1-0. Game 2 is tomorrow night in Raleigh. So, two teams coming off dramatic Game 7 wins meet in the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Carolina Hurricanes and New York Rangers are set up to play after winning their respective first-round series. The clubs finished as the top 2 teams in the Metropolitan Division this season. Despite being without starting goaltender Frederik Andersen, the Hurricanes were able to hang on and beat the Boston Bruins in 7 games. Antti Raanta and Pyotr Kochetkov stepped up in the absence of Andersen, with Raanta grabbing 3 wins and Kochetkov earning the win in Game 2 when Raanta was forced to leave. Raanta finished the series with a goals against average of 2.37 and a save percentage of .927. Max Domi was the hero in Game 7, recording 2 goals and an assist in the 3-2 win for the Hurricanes. Jakob Slavin and Tony DeAngelo share the lead on the team in points, each recording 8 in 7 games. DeAngelo's 7 assists is tied for second among all players after the first round. The Rangers overcame a 3-1 series deficit to the Pittsburgh Penguins to beat them in 7 games. Artemi Panarin ripped the OT winner in Game 7 to give the Rangers their first playoff series win since knocking off the Montreal Canadiens in the first round in 2017. They previously had come back from being down 2-0 in both games 5 and 6 to force that winner-take-all contest. New York received 11 points in the series from Mika Zibanejad, who had a goal and 2 assists in the decisive game. Adam Fox followed behind him with 10 points. The key storyline: can the Rangers keep up with the Hurricanes at 5-on-5? The story going into the Rangers-Penguins series was that the Rangers relied heavily on goaltending and special teams. It made it very fitting that New York won the series on a power play goal. New York was not good at 5-on-5 against Pittsburgh. Heading into Game 7, the team ranked last among the 16 playoff teams in goals percentage, expected goals at 5-on-5. They were the only team to finish with an expected goals percentage lower than 40%. The 20 goals allowed at even strength was the most given up by any team in the first round, resulting in the club having the high expected goals against 21.74. Carolina played Boston very evenly at 5-on-5 with their goals percent ranking 10th out of all 16 teams, but they are a better defensive team than Pittsburgh. Can the Rangers survive getting outplayed for the second series in a row? It was hard to get a read on the Hurricanes considering how different the team looked at home versus away. At PNC Arena, Carolina was dominant defensively, limiting chances for Boston and able to sustain pressure in the offensive zone, but their game vanished when the series went to Boston. With that said, on the other side is a Rangers team that for the most part were outplayed by the Penguins for a majority of the series. But New York was able to find a way in games 5, 6, and 7 to battle back and get wins in games they may not have deserved to do so. It's going to be a tight, competitive series. And as much as it pains me to say it, I think the Hurricanes are the better team. It will not let the Rangers get back in the contest like the Penguins did. Now, you know I want the Rangers to win. You know MF wants the Rangers to win, of course. But I have to go with the Carolina Hurricanes. And it's mainly because of that home ice advantage. They went a perfect 4-0 against Bullock's Bruins. They're already 1-for-1 against my Rangers, so we'll have to wait and see. But if the Rangers were to somehow win this series, I actually would be surprised because I think Carolina's the far better team. And considering Carolina went 3-1 against the Rangers during the regular season. So as much as I want the Rangers to win, and I do, I got to be realistic. I got to be the man who tells it like it is, and I got to go with the Carolina Hurricanes to win this series. I say they'll do it in 6 games. So I'm hoping for a different result, but we'll have to wait and see. So Carolina wins in 6. Michael Bullock, your Carolina Hurricane, your Boston Bruins. I mean, you guys found out the hard way just how damn good this Carolina team is, especially at home, going 0 for 4 there while you went 3-0 in Boston.
Yeah, the Bruins definitely found out the hard way about what happened. Carolina's just like a better team when they are at home, and they proved it in that first round series. So, yeah, as much as I really want to see your New York Rangers win, Florio, I just think Carolina's the much better team, and I think they're going to prove it throughout this series. So, I got the Carolina Hurricanes winning the series, and I see this one going in 6. They win it in 6 games. So, yeah, there's nothing more to say. Let's move on to our last semifinal preview.
And it's the Battle of Alberta, Canada. The Edmonton Oilers squaring off against the Calgary Flames. Game 1 was last night at the Saddle Dome in Calgary. And the Calgary Flames winning a track meet of a game, defeating Edmonton by a score of 9-6. 9-6 in a hockey game. Wow, that's something.
How many times you hear that?
We haven't seen scores like this in like 30, 40 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, back in like the 80s and even in the 90s, we saw scores like this a lot. Not so much nowadays, but wow, 9-6. But Calgary up 1-0. Game 2 back at the Saddle Dome tomorrow. So with that, Michael Bullock, who takes the Battle of Alberta, Canada, the Edmonton Oilers or the higher seeded Calgary Flames?
Yeah, like you said, we saw one heck of a track meet. When these two faced off in game 1, and yeah, Calgary certainly proved why they are the higher seed, and they put up goals in a barrage, and this was definitely a really good performance for them. The thing is, can they keep it up the rest of the series? I think they can, but don't sleep on Edmonton. I think they can. They'll give them some fits at some point during the series, but I have to go with the Calgary Flames here. You can't help but come out impressed with the way they were. Scoring 9 goals in game 1. So I got the Calgary Flames winning the series, and I think this is going to go 6 games. Florio, it's yours.
Yeah, what a game that was last night. That was game 1. Ooh, just imagine what they'll have in store for us the rest of the way. But the Battle of Alberta officially on. For the first time since 1991, the Calgary Flames and Edmonton Oilers meet up in the Stanley Cup playoffs. It nearly did not happen, as both teams were pushed to the brink in the first round. The Flames needed 7 games to take down the Dallas Stars, with Johnny Gaudreau potting the overtime winner in Game 7 to send Calgary to the second round. The Flames relied heavily on Jacob Markstrom and their defense, allowing just 14 goals against the Stars in the 7 games. On the other side, the Edmonton Oilers were able to get past the Los Angeles Kings in their first round series after Adrian Kemp put the Kings 3-2 in the series with his OT winner in Game 5. The Oilers took Game 6 by a score of 4-2, and then Mike Smith blanked LA in Game 7 with Edmonton pulling out a 2-0 win. Connor McDavid was sensational in the series, recording 14 points in the first round. He leads all skaters in that category during these playoffs, as well as assists with 10. Evander Kane's 7 goals in the series placed him in a tie with Kirill Kaprizov for the second most in the postseason so far. The key storyline, can Mike Smith outduel Jacob Markstrom? The only reason why the Stars almost stole the series from the Flames was because of the play of Jake Ottinger. Twice he made more than 50 saves in a game, including Game 7, where the Flames heavily outplayed the Stars. Smith had a sensational first round, putting up a goals against average of 2.29 and a save percentage of 938. In past years, goaltending has been the Oilers' kryptonite, but Smith proved that he could be reliable in net. The Oilers are facing a better defensive team in the Flames with a stud goaltender in net. Markstrom's 1.63 goals against average is tied with Colorado's Darcy Kemper for the lowest among goaltenders, adding a 940 save percentage. If the Oilers want to move on to the Western Conference Finals, they are going to need Smith to be stellar once again. This one is going to be fun. But this matchup favors the Flames. The Oilers do not play a defensive game that is close to that of the Stars. They typically sacrifice defense for offense, which going against Markstrom in a tough Flames blue line is not going to bode well for the Oilers. Edmonton and Connor McDavid push Calgary, but the Flames get the job done. I say the Calgary Flames win this series, and I think it's going to go the distance. I think it goes the full 7, but the Calgary Flames will win the series in 7 games. So that concludes the second round preview of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Now let's move on to the NBA Conference Finals. And we start with the series that started on Tuesday night. The Eastern Conference Finals, as it is the top seed in the East, the Miami Heat, squaring off against the number 2 seed, Michael Bullock's Boston Celtics. We have a rematch of the 2020 Eastern Conference Finals, a series that was played in Orlando's COVID-19 bubble and won by the Miami Heat. Some faces have changed, but these are largely the same cores that faced off 2 years ago. Home court advantage matters this time, and the Heat have it as the Eastern Conference's top seed. But the Celtics have been the best team in the league over the last 3.5 months, and they just eliminated the defending NBA champion Milwaukee Bucks. Jason Tatum has evolved into a star, and the Boston defense has been stifling. The Celtics have reached the conference finals for the 4th time in the last 6 years. Excuse me. Looking to reach the NBA Finals for the first time since 2010. The Heat don't have the storied history of the Celtics, but they're in the conference finals for only the 9th time in the franchise's 34 seasons. Both teams have been able to overcome an injury in their starting lineup. Kyle Lowry, with a left hamstring strain, has missed 6 of Miami's last 8 games and did not look good when he tried to play Game 4 of the conference semifinals. Robert Williams III with left knee soreness. He missed the last 4 games for the Celtics, but could be the more likely of the two to play early in this series. Of course, game number 1 was in Miami on Tuesday night. We recapped that in a belated Celtics chat where Miami Heat won that game 118-107.
And sorry to interrupt, Florio, but a quick update. We just reached the end of the 3rd quarter, and the Celtics are in control, up 96-71, with 15 minutes left to see
12 minutes.
If this is going to be a 1-1 tie or a 2-0 lead. But obviously, it's looking more like it's going to be a tied at 1.
You mean 12 minutes, right?
Or 12 minutes, yeah. Thank you for correcting me. Look, I'm just so excited about what I'm seeing right now.
Of course you are. So,
go ahead, Florio, and finish up.
Okay. So, excuse me. The 3 things to watch. Number 1, a switchy series. The Celtics have switched 55% of ball screens in the playoffs, the highest rate among 16 playoff defenses, and more than double the rate of the other 15. And though they adjusted their pick and roll coverage a bit late in the conference semis, the Heat have switched 40% of ball screens, the 4th highest rate, 2nd highest among the 8 teams to advance out of the first round. This will likely be a switch-heavy series that could come down to which team can better take advantage of mismatches. For Boston, that could be Tatum or Jaylen Brown, attacking the Heat's lesser defenders. Miami's advantages could come via screening actions or on the offensive glass. Number 2, can Jimmy Butler continue to carry the offense? Jimmy Butler has had pretty rough shooting numbers from outside the paint over the last few years, but he can still have some big offensive games and big moments. And in these playoffs, Butler has averaged 28.7 points a game with improved shooting both in and outside the paint. In 2020, he had a relatively quiet series against Boston. His 19 points a game were his lowest average in 4 series that year. But the Heat had 3 other players average more than 19 points a game as they won that series in 6 games. If the Celtics can keep Butler away from the basket and off the free throw line, he may again need more scoring help than he's gotten in these playoffs thus far. And number 3, depth advantage. Grant Williams was a starter when he scored 27 points in Game 7 against Milwaukee, but the Celtics have the second-ranked bench in the playoffs. And with Robert Williams back, that bench gets even better. The Heat's bench ranks just 10th, where Tyler Hero was the Kia Sixth Man of the Year, but Miami has been 35.1 points per 100 possessions better with him off the floor, plus 29.9, than it's been with him on the floor, minus 5.2. That's mostly about the strength of the starters. The Heat have outscored the Atlanta Hawks and Philadelphia 76ers by 25.8 per 100 and 165 total minutes with their 4 healthy starters on the floor. But bench minutes could be critical. And the Celtics seemingly have more players they can trust on both ends of the floor. The number to know is 53. The Celtics made 53 more three-pointers than the Milwaukee Bucks in their 7-game conference semifinal series. That was the biggest such differential in a playoff series in NBA history. The Celtics' 110 three-pointers were tied for third most in any playoff series. In the regular season, the Bucks allowed their opponents to take 44.8% of their shots from beyond the arc. That was the league's second highest opponent rate, topped only by that of the Miami Heat, who allowed their opponents to take 45.6% of their shots from deep. In the season series against Miami, the Celtics took 48.6% of their shots from beyond the arc, making 39% of their threes over their 2 wins and going just 11 of 37 in their March 30th loss. The Heat ranked just 13th in playoff three-point percentage at 32.1%. Their 2 playoff opponents, Atlanta and Philadelphia, were both in the bottom half of the league in three-point rate, but they've made 1 fewer 3 than their opponents over their 11 playoff games. If Boston continues to have a significant advantage from beyond the arc, the Heat will have to find advantages elsewhere. The Heat have home court advantage. They had the Eastern Conference's best home record at 29-12 in the regular season, and including Game 1 Tuesday night. They're 7-0 at home in these playoffs. They've barely allowed a point per possession, 100.5 per 100 over those 6 games, and won the 6 by an average of 17 points. But the Celtics, 4-2 on the road, having saved their season with a huge win in Milwaukee in Game 6 of the conference semis. This should be another competitive series with tough defenses to crack on both ends of the floor. But the Celtics, with fewer defensive weak spots and Jason Tatum's shot making, should have better solutions for the Miami Heat's switching than vice versa. So with that being said, Michael Bullock, I think you're going to like what I'm about to say here. I got your Boston Celtics winning this Eastern Conference Final Series and going to the NBA Finals for the first time since 2010. And I got them doing it in 6 games. The Boston Celtics, I believe, win this series. So there isn't much more to say here. So, Michael Bullock, I mean, what a role your Celtics have been on in this postseason. Sweeping a very, very good Brooklyn Nets team, damn near super team, that had Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and so many others. Swept them 4 in a row. Then you knocked out the defending champions, despite Giannis Antetokounmpo getting every call going his way imaginable. And yet you still overcame that, won that series. And now game one of this series had everything going, but then that third quarter happened. But tonight, tonight. As of right
and
now,
it's now 103-73 now with just 10 minutes to. Yeah,
it's a 30-point lead, just underway in the fourth quarter. So Celtics in 6. Michael Bullock, I already know where you're heading, but let's get your thoughts on this anyway.
Yeah, and Florio, just think of where this team was back at the beginning of 2022. I mean, this
Under 500.
team, yeah, they were one game under 500, and the calls were coming in, and they were saying, "Fire Udoka, trade Tatum or Brown, or even both of them." That it's time to blow it up and rebuild all over again. But give the front office credit. They did not listen. They stood pat. They they finally bought into Coach Udoka's system, and look at where they are now. I mean, this is this is the total definition of what a team is. And yes, game one was a little bit of a tough start. I mean, obviously, no Marcus Smart because of a foot sprain, and Al Horford was out because he was in the NBA's health and safety protocols. But they got both of them back tonight, and you're seeing a different result this time around. And
big time.
Yeah, and Tatum and Brown, I mean, they're going to be the keys, but you've got a lot of other guys who can be difference makers, like Horford, like Smart, Grant Williams, who had one heck of a game 7, 27 points. I mean, and Robert Williams III. I mean, he had himself a nice game in game 1, and what he could do on the boards. I mean, and here's another key guy who can be big off the bench, Peyton Pritchard. I mean, some big shots that he's made in these playoffs. So when you got a team like that, that can be a tough matchup for anybody, even a team like the Miami Heat. But the Heat will, I mean, they certainly will give this team some fits. I mean, and here's the other thing for you. I mean, Jimmy Butler. Yes, I know he's not up there with. To me, and I'll say this, and I don't know how you feel. I think he's the most underrated player in the NBA. I know he's not like he doesn't get the attention like Giannis Antetokounmpo or LeBron James, but give the guy his due. I mean, and can you imagine what some of the teams must be thinking who had Jimmy Butler right now? There's like, wait a minute, this guy has now been in the conference finals 2 of the last 3 years. I mean, they're probably like, why couldn't he do this for us? But man, I mean, but anywho, I mean, I gotta go with the Boston Celtics as well. I got them winning this series in 6 games as well. They're gonna close it out at the TD Garden and reach the NBA Finals for the first time since 2010. I think this team is special. I think this team has the determination to match up against anybody, including anyone that comes out of that Western Conference Finals. So, Celtics will win this series in 6 games. So, there's really nothing more to say for you. Let's move on to the next game in the Western Conference, or should I say the Western Conference Finals, since I already mentioned it.
Yeah. Before I do, I just want to ask you this one last question about this Celtics team right now. You just said they're special. Would you consider this team a team of destiny right now?
I think they are a team of destiny. I mean, just think. I mean, they've been in the conference finals for the last 6 years. And they have that bitter taste in the mouth from what happened in 2020 when they faced this team in the bubble. I mean, many people thought that this team had a shot, but then that's when you had the emerging stars on the Heat like Adebayo and Robinson and Tyler Hero, who really made a name for themselves. So, yeah, I think they've come so close. And the thing is, even before that, they've come so close to getting back to the conference. I mean, to the NBA Finals. I mean, 2012 against this Miami Heat team. Yes, you had Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, and of course on the Heat side, you had LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. And after that Game 6 performance, or not Game 6, Game 5, many people thought this series was over, especially after what happened in Miami. But of course, we all know the end result of that. And the other time they were close in 2018, they took it to a Game 7 when Jason Tatum was a rookie. And unfortunately, LeBron James did it to them again. And obviously, I just mentioned 2020. So, yes, to me, this is a team of destiny. And they have unfinished business. And I think they got the team to finally take them back to the NBA Finals. I mean, what do you think, Florida? Do you think this team is a team of destiny?
I think they might be. When you think of where they were about almost 4 months ago, about, I mean, what was it, like late January or so?
Yeah, and the thing is, and I talked to my father about this, and he always had one word when it came to the Celtics, the way they were back in January, and that was disappointment, because they had the team to get, obviously they were a playoff team, but with the way they were, it was like no way they were sniffing playoffs, but they finally picked it up, and at one point during the season, they were the number 1 seed. I mean,
Indeed.
And now here they are back in the conference finals, and I think they got, like I said, I think they got the team that can take them back to the NBA Finals.
Boy, what a story that would be, man. What a story that would be. I'm pulling for you. I really am. So,
yeah. And you also have to think of all the other Celtic greats that are thinking of this team right now. I mean, including the man who just recently had his number retired. The man who was the heart and soul of that 2008 NBA championship team, Kevin Garnett.
Anything's possible, baby.
And Paul Pierce. And, of course, let's not forget the old big three of Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, and Chief Robert Parrish. So imagine what they must think of this.
This 3-point shooting is unbelievable.
Yeah, and just think.
They just bombed another one.
In game 1, I mean, this team, they had 11 3-pointers that they made. And they've already surpassed it. I mean, you're getting contributions from the 3-pointer from basically everyone. And like you just said, there was another one right there by Jaylen Brown. And I'm telling you, if they can do this, I don't care if you're the number 1 seed Miami Heat. Heck, I'll even go as far as to say, I don't care if you're the Mavericks or the Warriors. If you have to deal with the Celtics team, you better not take them lightly, or they'll come back and bite you.
Yeah, yeah, and these Miami Heat are learning that the hard way, right here and right now. 115 to 83.
And let's not forget another thing. You don't think this team is motivated after what happened in that third quarter in game 1?
Oofa.
That's not motivation. If that's not motivation, I don't know what the hell is.
Well, and having Marcus Smart and Al Horford definitely has been a major help. And that's been a major difference in this one here tonight, halfway through the fourth quarter.
And that's why I said to me, I mean, you want to just go back to Boston with getting at least one game in Miami. I mean, winning both would have been really good, but they're about to accomplish what I think that that was the goal, and that was to get at least one game in Miami.
Yeah, and you're most assuredly on your way to doing just that. So, in a little bit, as soon as we're done with this other series, we're going to throw in some bonus commentary on this. So that's what we're gonna do, and Michael Bullock's gonna have a say in that. Usually when you hear bonus, usually when you hear bonus commentary, you think good old MF Michael Fletcher, but this is one of the rare times where Michael Bullock will be front and center as part of the bonus commentary. We'll get into that in just a moment, but let's first get into the other conference final series, and that is the series with the number 3 seed, the Golden State Warriors, squaring off against the number 4 seed, the Dallas Mavericks. Western Conference Finals. Game 1 was last night at the beautiful new Chase Center in San Francisco, and it was all Golden State all the time, winning Game 1, 112-87 over the Dallas Mavericks. They lead that series 1-0. Game 2 back in San Fran tomorrow night. So not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, the Golden State Warriors being here, no big surprise, but I think we're all surprised about the Dallas Mavericks being there, especially with who they just beat, the team that many of us, including myself, had as the odds-on favorite to win the whole thing going into these playoffs, the Phoenix Suns.
And the way they dominated them in Game 7. I mean, on the Phoenix Suns home floor, for goodness sakes. I mean, do it if they did it on their home floor, that's one thing, but to do it on their home floor, that's amazing. And I mean, this Dallas Mavericks team, I mean, what can you say? I mean, they've been playing that underdog role, especially with what happened when they had to face the Suns. But I mean, they've been riding Luka Doncic and Dinwiddie, and they've had a lot of guys that contribute. But now they got to deal with a Golden State team that, I mean, they're looking like that Golden State Warriors team that won numerous championships. I mean, especially when you got Steph Curry. And I'll tell you what, I'm happy for Klay Thompson. Think of the hard times that he went through. I mean, all the injuries all the major injuries he's had just to get back to this point. And, of course, Draymond Green and think of Andrew Wiggins. I mean, this guy was once the number 1 pick for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And now here he is playing in the conference finals for the Golden State Warriors. So, yeah, I think for the Dallas Mavericks to continue on this run, I mean, they got to do like what they did. I mean, yeah, Game 1 certainly didn't go their way, but if I know that after what we saw in the Phoenix series, is to never count them out. And you know they're going to come prepared in Game 2. And I mean, especially if the series does go back to Dallas, but for the Golden State Warriors, they just got to continue doing what they're doing. I mean, especially when you're led by Steph Curry. So I know Dallas is resilient and to not bet against them, but this Golden State Warriors team, I mean, just think after everything they went through, I think this team is determined to get back to the NBA Finals for the first time since losing it in 2019 to the Toronto Raptors. You think that? I mean, you talk about the Boston Celtics having unfinished business. How about the Golden State Warriors, especially after what happened in 2019? I mean, so I got the Golden State Warriors winning the series. I think this is going to go 6 games. So, to me, your NBA Finals matchup will be the Boston Celtics against the Golden State Warriors. Florio, it is yours.
Golden State Warriors and Dallas Mavericks meeting in the Western Conference Finals that began in San Francisco last night, with both teams taking bumpy roads to get there. The Warriors finished with the Western Conference's number 3 seed, despite Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green sharing only a combined 11 regular season minutes amid overlapping injuries. They dispatched the Denver Nuggets in 5 games in the first round, only to meet a young and physical number 2 seed Memphis Grizzlies team that pushed them to 6 games. The Mavericks finished with the 4th seed and held on to relative optimism that Luka Doncic's brilliance, Jason Kidd's arrival, and a midseason trade would finally help them advance past the first round. They did, knocking off the Utah Jazz in 6 games and then upsetting the top-seeded and heavily favored Phoenix Suns in 7 games. The 3 things to watch. Number 1, the Warriors expect a fuller roster. Warriors coach Steve Kerr cleared the NBA's health and safety protocols after missing games 4, 5, and 6 against Memphis. Veteran forward Andre Iguodala could return as early as tomorrow night for Game 2 after missing the last 7 games, including the entire series against Memphis with a neck injury. And the team expects forward Otto Porter Jr. to appear after missing 2 prior games with a sore right foot. Clearly, the Warriors' success rests mostly on Curry, Thompson, and Green, but the other additions could have a huge trickle-down effect. Mike Brown, who will be head coach of the Sacramento Kings next season, offered experience, strong preparation, and defensive expertise in Kerr's absence, but Kerr provides unique offensive creativity and presence as the man who guided the team's previous 3 championship run. Not only did the Warriors miss Iguodala's playoff experience and Porter's versatility, they also became more vulnerable with fewer wing options. The Warriors may not have to worry about such issues against Dallas. Number 2, how will Luka Doncic top himself? It seems inevitable. The Warriors will soon feel the pain that the LA Clippers, Utah Jazz, and Phoenix Suns all experienced. No team has a solution for Doncic, particularly in the playoffs. The Clippers survived a first-round nightmare against Doncic in 2020, 31 points, he averaged 31 points a game and 50% from the field. And last year, 35.7 points a game and a 49% from the field, only because they had Kawhi Leonard while Doncic had little help. This year, Doncic dominated the Jazz, 29 points a game, 46.9% from the field, and the Suns, 32.2 points a game and 45.7% from the field, while also leaning on his supporting cast. After already facing Denver center Nikola Jokic and Memphis guard Ja Morant, the Warriors have experience on handling a seemingly impossible defensive assignment. Expect the Warriors to throw multiple bodies at Doncic, both big, Green, Porter, Kevon Looney, and small, Thompson and Andrew Wiggins. Expect the Warriors to make Doncic work on defense against any of the Splash Brothers. Expect the Warriors to tolerate a Doncic outburst so long as no other Mavericks player experiences the same scoring high. That puts the onus on any combination of Jalen Brunson, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Spencer Dinwiddie to relieve Doncic, as they have done occasionally during this postseason run. And number 3, how much help will Curry, Thompson, and Green need? Will this year's Warriors have the same strength in numbers identity as previous squads? The Warriors saw third-year guard Jordan Poole blossom in 3 playoff starts against Denver and serve as a key reserve against Memphis, only to flame out in the final games in each series. The Warriors played rookie Jonathan Kuminga double-digit minutes in 3 games against Memphis before limiting his playing time the rest of the series, despite Iguodala and Porter becoming hobbled by injuries. All of those players will have opportunities to develop into the X factor against Dallas. Because of the uncertainty of those moving parts, though, the Warriors may need their stars to produce more efficiently than they did against Memphis. Curry, Thompson, and Green all showed their greatness, particularly in a decisive Game 6, but they also labored through off-shooting nights and sloppy turnovers. The number to know is 22.4. This series will be a contrast in styles. One team plays quickly and moves the ball. The other plays slow and generally keeps the ball in the hands of one guy. The Mavs lead the playoffs in time of possession, averaging 22.4 minutes of possession through their first 12 games. For the 3rd straight year, Luka Doncic leads the postseason in individual time of possession, 10 minutes a game. The Warriors, meanwhile, rank 14th at just 20.2 minutes of possession, with nobody in the top 10 among individuals. They rank first in player movement, 11.3 miles travel per 24 minutes of possession, and second in ball movement, 340 passes per 24 minutes of possession, while the Mavs rank 15th, 9.9, and 16th, 273. Dallas suppressed the Warriors' ball movement as the Mavs won 3 of the 4 regular season meetings. Golden State led the regular season at 369 passes per 24 minutes of possession, but their 345 per 24 against the Mavs was their lowest rate against any Western Conference opponent. Stephen Curry played in all 4 games, but Draymond Green played in just 1 of the 4. In his 4th NBA season, Luka Doncic has maximized his individual dominance, and that has elevated the play of his teammates. even so, the Warriors' depth should prove too much to overcome. I agree with you, Michael Bullock. I got the Golden State Warriors winning this Western Conference Finals in 6 games. So with that, we're going to do some quick bonus commentary. So Michael Bullock, come on in. 1:23 to go in the fourth. The Heat at the line. You can see.
Mm-hmm.
We got looks like we have an injured Celtic there. Stavskis.
Well, that's one of the reserves.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, because with the big lead, they've already pulled the starters.
Yeah, Pritchard has it now for the Celtics. 127-100. Pritchard for 3. Off the rim. Rebound Miami. And 1 minute left to go in game number 2.
Yep.
Oladipo
1 minute.
off the mark. And a rebound. And now the Celtics, as they are seconds away from evening this Eastern Conference Finals series at a game apiece. Peyton Pritchard controlling it. 8 to shoot. 3-pointer off the rim. And the rebound to Miami. Oh, long pass.
Ooh.
And he lays it up and in. And the Celtics now. Pritchard. I'm guessing they're going to take a shot clock violation here since the shot clock is about 2 to 3 seconds ahead of the game clock here.
Yep. Yeah, you can.
And there's the shot clock violation. All Miami has to do is just inbound. 2.8 seconds. And that will do it, though. 3-pointer.
And that'll do it.
That's it. The Boston
Celtics have even up the series. 1 game apiece. 127-102 is the final score. Game 3, Saturday night, back at the TD Garden on ABC. So, with that being said, Florio, let's tip off the Celtics, Jack.
Yes, sir. All right. So, as you just heard Bullock say, the Boston Celtics have evened the Eastern Conference Finals with the Miami Heat at 1 game apiece. They defeat the Heat here in Game 2 tonight by a score of 127-102. Boston now improves to 4-0 following a loss in this playoff year, led by their Defensive Player of the Year, Marcus Smart, with almost had a triple-double, 24 points, 12 assists, and he had 9 rebounds, just missing a triple-double. But nonetheless, the Boston Celtics even this series at a game apiece, as the series will excuse me. All right. As the series will now shift to the TD Garden in Boston for games 3 and 4. Game 3 will be on Saturday night. Game 4 will be on Monday night. And it also assures that it'll go back to Miami at least for a game 5, and that will be on Wednesday night. So with that being said, let's let's get in. Let's see if I can pull up the numbers here. All right, let's see what I can find here. Oh. All right, I think I have the. All right, yep. Okay, so here we go. There was no doubt about it this time. The Celtics won the first 2 quarters, 35-24. Boston after 1. Then they outscored Miami 35-21 in the second for a 70-45 lead at the half. And then in the third quarter, it ended up tied 26-26. And then in the fourth quarter, each team put up 31 points. But it was the Boston Celtics who got it done. Jason Tatum led the scoring. He had 27 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. Like I just mentioned, Marcus Smart, a near triple-double, 24 points, 12 assists, 9 rebounds, also had 3 steals in this game. Jaylen Brown, 24 points, 8 rebounds. And Robert Williams III, 5 points and 4 rebounds, had 3 blocks in this game as well. In defeat from the Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler led all scorers with 29 points. He had 6 rebounds, had 3 assists. Vincent had 14 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists. Bam Adebayo, 6 points, 9 rebounds. Strus had 6 points, 5 rebounds. PJ Tucker, 5 points, 4 rebounds. Off the bench, Tyler Hero, 11 points and 3 assists. Victor Oladipo, 14 points. Martin had 7. Robinson, 6 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. And that's pretty much it. To the team stats here. In the field goal percentage, it went to the Boston Celtics. They shot 43 of 84 from the field for a field goal percentage of 51.2. For the Miami Heat, 38 of 86 from the field, 44.2% from the field. Here was the difference maker in this game tonight, hands down. The 3-point shooting, 20 of 40 were the Boston Celtics, 50% from 3. Miami, 10 of 34 for 29.4% from 3. The free throw line, Boston won that battle as well. 21 out of 23 at the line. They shot 91.3% from the free throw line, did Boston. Miami, 16 of 22 from the line. Free throw percentage of 72.7. The rebounding, offensive rebounds went the way of the Miami Heat, 12-8. Boston, however, won the defensive rebound battle, 33-30. Overall, it was Miami 42-41 in rebounding. In the assist battle, Boston won 28-21. In the steals department, Boston also won that 8-4. Block shots, Boston had 5, Miami had 3. Celtics committed only 10 turnovers. Miami committed 15 turnovers. However, Miami outscored Boston in points off turnovers 20-9. Fast break points, 12-8 in favor of Boston. Points in the paint, that went, however, to Miami, 42-30 in favor of the Heat. The Heat committed 18 fouls. Celtics committed 21. Just basic fouls, no other fouls. At one point in this game, the Miami Heat, at one point, their largest lead was 10. They had a 10-point lead early in this game. But the Boston Celtics' biggest lead, at one time, they had a 34-point lead. And they win by 25 here tonight. 127-102. The Boston Celtics defeat the Miami Heat, evening the Eastern Conference Finals at 1 game apiece as the series now shifts to TD Garden in Boston for game number 3. And that will be, of course, on Saturday night in prime time on ABC. So not much more to say here except Michael Bullock. You want to talk about a bounce back. I mean, after that demoralizing loss in game 1 where you got absolutely manhandled in the third quarter, tonight the Celtics were determined to put that behind them. And with Marcus Smart and Al Horford back in the lineup, that most assuredly helped things. But Bullock, your three-point shooting tonight, off the charts. 50% from 3 as a team. 20 out of 40. Wow.
Yeah. Like you said, I mean, the 3-point shooting tonight was just unbelievable. Like, after making only 11 3-pointers in game 1, tonight shooting 50% and 20 of them being made. And I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, and you were getting them from a lot of guys: Peyton Pritchard, Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. I mean, so many of them. And like you said, having Al Horford and Marcus Smart back certainly made a difference here. I mean, I mean, yes, they played well in the first half in game one without him, but just having them for the full game really, really helped this team. And the 70 points that they scored in the first half, that's the most by a Celtic team in a playoff game since 1990. I mean, this was just an unbelievable performance by this team. This team was motivated after the way they lost game one, and they came back in a big way. And I mean, and they held Jimmy Butler down this time around to only 29 points after a 41-point performance in game one. I mean, the defense really, really stepped up tonight, and now they steal the home court advantage. And like you said, Florio, it reassures that this series will be going back to Miami for a game 5 on Wednesday night. So what happens afterwards? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. But now it goes to the TD Garden, and you know that that TD Garden crowd's going to be motivated, and they're going to be making a lot of noise, especially after a performance like what they saw tonight. So yes, like you said, game 3 Saturday night, prime time on ABC. We'll see who gets the advantage. So there's really nothing more to say except Florio, a dominating performance tonight, and I'm telling you, man. I mean, if this keeps up, they're definitely going back to the NBA Finals.
Absolutely. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out as we head to game number 3 on Saturday night. So with that, that will put the bow on this edition of TXN Sports World. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. We'll be back with you right back here again tomorrow night for another edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk, as we will review AEW Rampage along with Friday Night SmackDown, including that huge Tag Team Championship unification match with RK Bro and the Usos, of course. And then from there, time permitting, we will have the Game 2 edition of the Rangers round. Lost my train of thought. All right. Yep. So let me reset. Tomorrow night, we'll be back with you tomorrow night for a special edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk, right back here on the Tone 25, here on YouTube and streaming.com, as we will review another early AEW Rampage. And, of course, Friday Night SmackDown, headlined by the Tag Team Championship unification match, RK Bro and the Usos. We'll get into all that tomorrow night. And time permitting, we will have the Game 2 edition of the Rangers Roundup, as the New York Rangers will look to even up the series with the Carolina Hurricanes tomorrow night. It worked for the Celtics tonight. Hopefully it'll work for the Rangers tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see on that. And then we'll perhaps take it from there. We'll maybe Sunday night, maybe. I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see what MF says. See when he's coming back. So, but tomorrow night, that is for sure. So we'll wait and see what MF has to say. Hopefully we'll hear from him soon enough. But for right now, that'll do it for this. So until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, it's Anthony Florio here for Michael Bullock, and in spirit, of course, good old MF Michael Fletcher and the First Lady Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw the Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Friday. And until tomorrow night for the special edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching TXN Sports World right here on the Tone 25, here on YouTube and StreamYard.com. For everybody who's been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Have a good night, everybody.